Welcome to the Veteran Spouse Network podcast, brought to you in collaboration with Coming Home Well. I'm your host, Hannah O'Brien, both a veteran spouse and the program manager for the Veteran Spouse Network. On each episode of our show, I will host different guests to learn more about the stories, unmet needs, and resources available to our military and veteran families. We're the show that's making space for your stories, so that here you know you're never alone.
Welcome back to the Veteran Spouse Network podcast. This month, I'm so excited to be joined by Leslie Coffey, who is both a veteran spouse and the Vice President of Military Engagement at American Corporate Partners. If you're an avid podcast listener and you listened in on our episode with Wendy Hively of Charlie Madison Originals, you heard her give a huge shout out to ACP, which provides free year-long mentorships to post 9/11 veterans and military spouses to help them on their path towards fulfilling long-term careers. The more I've learned about ACP, the angrier I get that I only learned about them this year. While they provide very different services than we do at the VSN, they have a very similar set of values and model that's focused on empowering their participants to identify and reach their goals. Before Leslie joined ACP as staff, she participated when they first launched their spouse program in 2018 and is now serving as a mentor to her second mentee. I'm so excited to have Leslie on to talk about their incredible work, as well as her own journey toward finding career success. So Leslie, I'd love to turn it over to you to tell our listeners a little bit more about you as a spouse and as a professional serving in this community.
Thanks so much for having me, Hannah, and the opportunity to share our mission with your network. My service member just wrapped up 30 years last year, and I was part of 28 of those. The first 25 years, the Army always made my decision to resign. I was never afforded the opportunity. I never voluntarily resigned. It was always involuntary. And I'd have to, you know the drill. You move and you start your network all over, get a great position, start climbing the ladder, and then, boop, Uncle Sam, in my case, the Army calls, and you have to do it, rinse and repeat, and do it all over again. And so, I found ourselves, we were stationed in the middle of the Mojave Desert when ACP first launched for military spouses. And I had 4 kiddos and student loans out the wazoo. All my kids are WIC kids. Some of them are food pantry kids, so I've been there. We have been massively underemployed and robbing Peter to pay Paul. And, when we were in the Mojave Desert, there was a spouse, I'll never forget this. There was a spouse that worked at the front desk of the hotel, like checking people in, who had a PhD.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was the economic landscape. I mean, this was before COVID. It was before remote work was a thing, really. And Chick-fil-A was 96 miles away, and that's kind of like where civilization was. So just not a lot of opportunities. So that's when I first came through ACP. Actually, I had known about it for years because I've been in the transition space. I actually had come from the largest transitioning installation in the world, which at the time was Fort Hood, Texas. We outprocessed 1,200 soldiers a month on a high note, but it was just so many. And I would always share it with those that were coming through our program, but it was not available to me. Yeah. So when we were stationed in the middle of the Mojave Desert, they said, we're launching for spouses. We received a special grant. We can help you. I actually put a countdown app on my phone to be one of the first to apply. I was not going to miss it. I was not going to lose my spot. And it was November 11th, 2018. And I was one of the first spouses, one of the first spouse alum. And I will tell you, my mentorship completely changed my whole trajectory. And we'll get a little bit more into that and what my mentor did for me. But she increased my pay by 67% in the middle of the Mojave Desert. But more than that, it's just finally somebody pouring into me. Mm-hmm. And putting my goals first, which was never a case. My goals, even as an undergrad, I went to 7 universities because of always moving and transferring my credits and whatnot. It took me 7 universities to be able to complete my undergrad, and I was pregnant with number three. So, you know, so often as spouses, our goals, our professional goals take a back seat.
Yep.
And in this situation, somebody actually cared about me and my goals and helping me to get there. And so years later, that's why I joined the team, because of what my mentor did for my journey and how she just changed everything. So I see this as a gift to give this community I've been a part of for 28 years. And I'm just so very honored and pleased to be able to share it with your audience.
Me too. This, I think everyone needs to know about this because, like, you're right. Like, when honestly, you can be in need of this type of service no matter where you are in your journey. Things happen, life changes, especially in this community because of all the things you talked about. We know that. And you talked a little bit about that, having the forced resignations because of military life and then ultimately landing at ACP and where that took you. But wanted to see if there's anything more you wanted to speak on kind of your career journey in general. Like you talked a little about the type of work that you were doing and then how that vastly changed with your mentorship. So anything else just to talk about your professional journey?
Yeah, I love circling back on this, especially for those spouses that may have littles at home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mom of four. They're pulling me four cardinal directions, very, very, all over the place. And there was a time when I was a parish administrator because that was something I could do with my kids. So I brought my littles who were 19 months apart. They were with me in the office. I had everything, extra saucers and swings and everything in the office, nursing, that whole bit. And that was during the time that I was completing my degree. Once I had that degree, I found an opportunity to get into the transition space. A friend actually said, I think you'd be a good fit here. Now, I was actually interested, my undergrad is finance. So I was interested in going into a different realm. But my friend said, kind of give this a try. And actually, for that position, it required a master's, but you could be working on it. So I was working on my master's, and again, going towards my whole purpose was actually to be a financial counselor for survivor outreach services. In order to be a GS financial counselor for survivor outreach services, you had to have at least a master's. Because I'm old school, I had a lot of friends that are Gold Star spouses, and they were getting taken advantage of. So that was my reason for going that way. I wanted to kind of protect them from people that come out of the woodwork and are scammers. While pursuing my master's and while in transition program, someone highlighted me in the newsletter, in the newspaper, in the local paper, and said Miss Coffey took my family from eating ramen to eating steak. And that just stuck with me. And I just had so much fulfillment in helping service members to transition that's where I really stayed. Fast forward a few years, and I actually opened my own career center in Clarksville. We increased the number that were coming through and getting jobs, and 200% within 2 months. We were planning to be there for a long time, and I absolutely loved it. And guess what happened? The Army called, right? So we got moved. We PCSed about 18 months early. And my district manager tried to get me to stay. She was like, oh, he can go ahead, he can stay in the barracks, Candy, because she knew nothing about the military.
Right.
And at the time, he was not a rank that you stay in the barracks.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, I had to actually find and interview my replacement, which was like the equivalent of interviewing a stepmom for your kids. Is the only thing I could, because this was my baby.
Yeah.
I had put everything into it. And that was the most painful thing of it all, right? Is actually finding my replacement for my center. But again, it works out for a reason. So whether you're still working on your degree, and, taking care of littles, whether you're having to interview for a replacement, all of that in the end, you take gems from your journey and all leads to where you need to be.
Right. And then in that sense, you are still, working towards that mission and the work that you do today, which is incredible. So I feel like that's a great transition. Everyone's probably like, cool, I'd love to learn more about what this program is and what this could do for me. So tell us a bit more about the mentorship program, how it works, what participants can expect out of it.
Well, ACP, what we do is we focus on combating underemployment. So we want to make sure that you're at the right level, in the right career path, in the right culture, because when you have that trifecta, then that's really when you have success and retention too. So we do this by go about providing one-to-one customized mentorship. So it's one mentor to one spouse for a year. We request 1 hour a month. Everyone's a little bit different. Everybody, their seasonal life, like their experience level, their education level. It doesn't matter if you have a degree or not. It doesn't matter if you're returning from a 25-year gap in experience or not, or if you're already a career professional. Regardless of where you are, maybe you're even launching a business. Regardless of where you are in your journey, we're going to learn about you. We're going to learn about your background, your interests, your goals. We're going to go on the hunt for a best fit mentor in our pool of mentors. And then we're going to pair you for a great journey together to learn and grow. Our team, once we find who we think is a great fit mentor, we actually don't forget about you. We actually do check in every month. We're seeing, are you on track to meet your goals? Are you meeting regularly? Do you have any need for additional resources? Is there anything that you need? Because we're nurturing and facilitating the relationship throughout the year.
That's incredible. And so one of the things that I thought was really cool when we first met was just honestly talking about the diversity and like who these these mentees, not sponsors, sorry, could be, and how they cover kind of like so many different sectors. And then like you're talking about that matching the work that you do, to match people to the appropriate thing. But I'd love for you to touch just a little bit on kind of the vastness of like where these mentors are coming from, so people can really understand like really how impressive this is.
So we do have about 125 partner companies. And that's where a good 65 to 70% of our mentors come from. Anything from the WWE to NASCAR to Major League Baseball to Amazon and Nike, like all of those different big name, big Fortune 100 companies of the world. But that makes up for less than 70% of our pool. The other 30+% of our pool of mentors are civil servants, academia, healthcare, social workers, STEM careers, entrepreneurs, attorneys, congressmen, like you name it, we have it. We had a spouse, I believe I shared with you, that wanted to be a zoologist, not necessarily corporate, right? We found her a mentor. Had a veteran that wanted to go into urban farming. I had no idea what that was. Turns out we had 3 mentors in urban farming. Others that want to be a beekeeper. Again, not necessarily under a certain logo, right?
Yeah.
So I will always say, put the challenge on us to find the right mentor. Like, don't self-select out. Let us go. Put the onus on us to go on the hunt for the best fit mentor for you.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. The other thing I was super impressed about was like the scale of like, I think a lot of people think about this and be like, wow, this is almost, I thought, I was like, this was almost too good to be true. Like to be free and to be paired with someone for such a long period of time, to be getting the support from y'all as an organization as well. So instantly I was like, this just seems really hard. They must have like a small scale, and y'all don't. So I would love for you to mention like how many people you guys are serving through this program each year.
Well, so we have 36,000 alumni, like myself, and we currently have about 5,100 paired right now. So that's 5,100 veterans or spouses paired with 5,100 mentors. every mentor only receives one veteran or spouse to focus on. So it's 1-to-1. And and we have actually many more mentors available. So we do have the capacity to handle any more. We're probably looking to get to about 6,000 very soon. And, and again, we're nurturing and we're touching base with these, what we call pairs. When it's a mentor and a veteran, we're going to touch base with them every month. So we have the capacity to help as many as possible, really.
Which is incredible. And then I think the last like super important detail, like logistical detail, is like really the breakdown of like who do I have to be eligible for this, since there is a little bit, especially with spouses, that I think is good to be clear about.
Yes, so for spouses now, it all comes down to grant funding, right? Funding for the support, and we're always on the hunt for additional grants to be able to open it up even more. But currently it is active duty spouses, Gold Star surviving spouses, or disabled post 9/11 veteran spouses. Now, the spouse application will ask, what is your current spouse status? If it is disabled post 9/11 veteran, we're not going to ask the percentage. Is it 10%? Is it 90%? We're not going to ask that. That just selecting that radial dial will allow you to, allow it to be eligible for the grants.
Perfect, which is cool because they're, yes, certainly I understand grant funding and some of the limitations that can put, which are, we're always all doing our best to expand that, but things are what they are.
Right.
So knowing that, other places are much more rigorous, and have to have all sorts of like further limitations and documentation. So I think that's really cool that it's just, yep, this is me. Okay. We know.
And some things, there are some opportunities out there that might require a certain rank or certain education. It could be an E1 spouse, you could be an O10 spouse. We have helped all and everything in between. You could have high school education, you could have a PhD, everything in between. Because it's customized based on the individual and because it's human driven, like we're going to get you on the phone and we're going to learn about you and we're going to do what's best for you and your journey. It doesn't matter any of the background. It does not matter. We respect completely your unique journey.
Love. Very much similar values and things to where we come from and helping people. So that's why I'm super excited to be sharing what you guys do. And I think you've spoken to this a little bit, but one of the cool things is that the diversity, right? Where people can be coming from, but also what they can be looking for out of the experience. Because I feel like that, just if we're talking about career journeys in general, like sometimes even like figuring out what that looks like, what your goals are, where you're wanting to head can be hard. And so like I could see myself being in this situation like, well, maybe I don't know enough to be about what I want to be ready for this program. So I'd love to hear more just about whether it's examples or anything of just like the diversity and like where people can be in this journey, where this program is designed for them and can help them.
What a great question. Okay, so if you're not sure what you want to do next, 86% of those coming to us are unsure of their next career. So you're in the vast majority. You might think that everybody has it figured out and you're the only one. I promise you that is absolutely not the case. Most folks were not really sure what they want to do next. And, my mentor, which I didn't mention, but we started with career exploration. She called it window shopping. So compare different jobs. We would eliminate, I don't think that's the right fit, or you know what I mean? And so that's what she called it, window shopping. And we would compare and contrast positions together. My previous protege, we went through 4 months of career exploration before finding what was the right fit. And let me tell you what, once she figured out what lit her fire, holy smoke, she was off to the races. Yeah. So if you're not really sure what you want to do, that's totally okay. We can get you maybe a mentor that has a very broad background in talent acquisition or a broad background in HR, and they be able to talk through different roles that they see maybe or your strengths or your skills where they might be a good fit. Also, if you, regardless of what you're doing, like if you're trying to launch a business or grow a business, we can have mentors for that. If you're trying to go to school and you want to make sure what you're studying is an emerging career, not one going obsolete by AI, right?
Right.
We have mentors for that. If you're trying to get an internship, we have mentors for that. If you're like, I actually know what I want to do, but I'm having a super hard time landing a remote position, and that's what you're focused on, like that's your number one goal, then we can work on that.
That's incredible because I do think it's so easy to just like get overwhelmed in this process, which is why this is such a good program for people to take advantage of, to have someone in your corner, to have lots of people in your corner, helping you navigate that over a long period of time. So I appreciate being able to like tell everyone that this is for them, no matter where they might be and whether they have goals or want to establish goals. This is what that's for. Um, so you talked a little bit about being super excited when you found out they were going to start having spouses and wanting to be the first. Um, what about like where you were in your career journey and what you knew about this program? Like what made you like be like, I have to do this, I need this, this is going to help me.
Well, so me speaking as a spouse, not me speaking as ACP. This is Leslie's talk. This is my thought process, not ACP. When I used to give this out to transitioning service members long before it was available to spouses, again, I was not under ACP's umbrella. I was in the transition space. I would be like, who would pass this up? This is like the rich uncle you never knew you had. Like,
Right.
who would pass this up? I could meet with an executive at these companies, and
Yeah.
holy cow, just the amount of knowledge, the amount of guidance. And here's the thing, I'll tell you if it's okay to share, Hannah.
Of course.
I screwed up in my mentorship journey. I failed in some ways. Yes, it ended up turning out great, but man, I was failing along the way. And I want to share this so people don't do what Leslie did. Like, don't be Leslie. Um, we give them one person to focus on. I was so in my own head. I would, if I didn't have something really concrete to bring to my calls, I would delay them.
Hmm.
I would postpone. I felt like I needed to have like this job I was interviewing for, or I needed to have some kind of something concrete to even take the call.
Yeah.
Man, what a miss on my part, because really, even if I'm in a slump, I'm getting crickets, not hearing nothing, and I'm just down. The mentor, because they're a season or two ahead of you, chances are they've been there.
Yeah.
So they've got the tools to help pull you out of it, and they're a sounding board, right? They're a support system. We only give them one person to focus on. They don't have 10, 15. They got one. So what I was doing, I was robbing her of the things she was trying to do. Like she's volunteering to help me, and I'm like, no, I'm not worthy of your help, is essentially what it came down to.
And
And
robbing
you
yourself.
are worthy. You are worthy. You're not wasting their time. You're not taking somebody's spot. I hear that all the time. You're worthy of somebody helping you. And that's a way that I messed up. It took me a little bit to get out of my head. And it wasn't until years later that I figured out I was actually robbing her of the one thing she was trying to do. Because in my mind, I'm like, I'm in the middle of Mojave Desert. I've got 4 kids. Like, who am I to talk to this person whose face has been on Times Square? I'm going to waste her time. But she just wanted to say thank you. This is her way to say thank you because she's not military connected.
Hmm.
So, like, this is her way to give back. So, allow them to do so.
Let them do so. And I imagine too, like when you're talking about those times where you may be feeling like, "Ugh, gosh, dejected or whatever, that's probably when they actually could help you the most. Like even just
Exactly.
empowering. And that's another thing I love so much about learning about your program is that it's not just about like step one, step two, logistical, get from point A to point B, but also that helping individuals deal with what is a very emotional and difficult
Yeah.
journey, and feeling worthy, feeling empowered, um, to set their sights high and that they deserve it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I will tell you, one of what I'm most proud of being a spouse and seeing and hearing the stories is the confidence that comes from our spouses within our program. We actually do a survey, and when they apply, we kind of see how confident are you in your chosen career path at the beginning. At the beginning, they're 29% is how is their confidence. After working with their mentor, it jumps to 89%.
Amazing.
60% gain in confidence in their chosen career path. And if I could share about my own spouse, when when he was coming through and his mentor, he was in an area where he was doing just that, what I mentioned earlier, not getting a lot of hits on his resume, getting crickets, was really discouraged. At home, he'd say, I'm washed up, I'm old, nobody wants me. That's what he was saying at home. His mentor, they had a cadence every Saturday, every other Saturday, every other Saturday. That's when they met. And he said, look, man, let me tell you what's going on this side of the curtains. His mentor is the executive at Disney, runs a streaming service. And his mentor said, it was January. So he's like, we're doing budgets, we're doing lateral moves, we're doing promotions. We don't even know what we're hiring for right now, what the empty seats are, if you will. And what that did for my spouse to just hear, like, it wasn't a him thing. It wasn't he's old, he's washed up, he has nothing more to contribute. It was like, okay, it just level set his nerves so much. It was so helpful. So the mentors, as you mentioned, when you are in a certain slump or you're just feeling less than or whatnot, take the call.
Yeah.
Take the call. And I'll tell you, the most powerful comes out of these relationships when you're most vulnerable.
Yeah.
It can be like weird feeling, especially as a spouse. Like spouses, you're used to being, you have all the answers. We are team, make shit happen, right? We have no choice but to, because we're alone, the service members deployed or they're in the field or whatever, we're away from our family. We have to be able to get it done. And so when you're trying to reverse that and actually be vulnerable with a mentor, it can be a little awkward, but man, that is where the real magic happens.
Yeah. Yeah, because then it's all on the table. They have the information they need to know where you're actually at and can help you, which is like what they're there to do. That's why they signed up for this, as you said.
Exactly. Exactly.
Incredible.
If they don't understand like the full picture, how can they give the proper guidance?
Exactly. That's the easiest way to put it is, yeah, so you're kind of cheating yourself from what you can get from it. Um, and I don't know, I feel like we've talked a lot about this, but like I do want to make sure like we fully hear from you about your experience and like what you feel like participation in the program like did for you, whether again that was like feeling worthy or you mentioned a very steep increase in pay. Like what did this give you participating?
Well, I was able to know my own worth and my own value for
Huge.
what I can bring to an organization. And because mentors will see something within you you don't see within yourself most of the time. And especially if you're just in it, right? In the grind and in the craziness of middle spouse life and post PCS or pre PCS or and we're just always in this hamster wheel, if you will. A mentor can find the experience. And again, let me foot stomp this. It doesn't matter if it's paid or unpaid experience.
Mhm.
Experience is experience. It can be unpaid. It can be your volunteer stuff. A mentor can help you to craft that to be able to speak to an organization about the value you can bring to them.
Yeah, that's incredible. Um, and then of course you have also swapped sides and you have mentored or now mentoring your second, correct, mentee. So I'd
Yes.
love to hear, I mean, I'd love to hear from that experience, like what now being in those shoes, working with someone, what you feel like that's done for you, but also maybe what you feel that's done for them.
The most fulfilling feeling ever. I just love them. But just seeing the journey and the transformation over the year, seeing them come out of their shell and developing and growing and then blossoming, like the spouses that are listening that want to come in and be a mentor, man, I 1000% recommend it. It's an hour a month is what we request. Now, I'll tell you, I'm available for my proteges. They have my number. We text, we hop on a call, whatever they need me. But, our request is an hour a month. But I'll tell you, they really appreciate somebody to bounce ideas off of. What do you think about this position? What do you think about this path? Oh, I thought I was PCSing here, but now I'm PCSing there. Can you help me identify roles here when I was actually originally looking here? But and then the helping them to like see what is a good fit. My first protege, it took a lot of assessments, like it's 4 months worth of digging and diving and into that internal assessment to really, but I could always see when she was talking about different seasons in her life where she would glow, where her eyes would light up. And once we were able to pick that out, then that's the direction we went. And that is actually now she is being a trailblazer. She's going to be one of the first spouses ever to be an intern with a certain organization that's only been open to veterans in the past, but we did that together for her.
Wow.
So now she's going to be able to prove the value of a spouse, so they'll come back and be able to do many more for her, in her wings, if you will.
Wow. That's powerful. Yeah. So there can be a lot of impact even beyond the individual, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love that. And I guess we hadn't talked so much about the mentor side of things, because I think what you said is equally as important. There could be people listening who are like, I don't feel like that I need the mentorship, but I would love to give back and provide this to somebody. So is there anything else like you would think mentors need to know about getting involved and what to expect on that side?
Yes, so the biggest thing is from the mentor side, again, we request 1 hour a month. We provide orientation, we provide a handbook, we provide a point of contact that is there to answer questions or kind of if there's a knowledge gap, they will have resources, or we can also introduce the mentee to other mentors as well. Like maybe after they've decided on a certain career path, maybe you have a broad background and they decide on a certain career path, we can make individual one-off calls with mentors in that career path, but you're still their support system. You're still their sounding board. You're still walking that journey with them. It's just the specific career experience, if you will. We can have one-off calls with other mentors in our program. We also offer monthly mentor coffee and conversations. So they get together and they bounce ideas off of each other. What about this? What about that? So yes, the handbook is fantastic. The support is fantastic. The orientation is fantastic. Our orientation is ran by mentors that have been with us 15 years. Like some have, because they love it so much,
Yeah.
they will sign up again and then they finish it again and again. So some have 15 times over
Wow.
have been mentoring with us. And so they'll kind of join in on these orientations so you're not hearing from us, you're hearing from the mentors themselves. And they say, this is what worked, this is what didn't work, So I guess I share that you don't have to just figure it out on your own.
Yeah. No. Don't have to be too intimidated on that front either, right? Yeah, no, that's
Right.
great. I think that's such a testament to the effectiveness of the program for people to have been mentoring that long, and then for people like you who have been through it and then decide to swap to the other side. I know that's always our favorite when our group participants want to become leaders. You're like, okay, oh, we're doing something right. Like you want to
Yes.
find a way to do this for others. So that's I love to hear that. To me, that's like
Yes.
biggest testimony of an effectiveness of a program is when people just
Right.
coming back and plugging back into it in different ways.
Our mentors have a 99% satisfaction rate.
Wow. Okay. That's great.
So
I
again, in that situation, if there's a
I did
spouse
about
that's
this.
thinking, if the spouse is thinking if they're on the line and they're like, I don't know if I have enough experience or whatever, you know what I mean? Sign up and let's have this call. Let's talk about it because chances are you do.
Right. Like at least like take that first step. And here you have the people who have those calls with you telling you to take that first step. So you're not
Mhm.
wasting their time.
Mhm.
Do it. Cool. Well, I always like to end by like last pieces of advice or wisdom. And we shared some of this, but I think especially, so much because some of our groups and stuff focus on helping people, put themselves first. And so sometimes that is education, career, like so much of what you said, like, okay, I've had to put my stuff on the back burner. Now we're out. I can focus more on my goals, whatever those may be. So we have a lot of those conversations in our groups. Um, and people can get just so frustrated. They can just really feel like dejected and like not worthy, or it's hasn't worked for so long, it's so hard, yada yada yada. List off the things. Like we even have we've had stuff in our curriculum where we do like, try to do SMART goals and things like that. And some people are like, I'm so sick and tired of, like doing this because it doesn't go anywhere. And I get that, right? I feel that it gets so easy when you've had a hard journey. So I'd love to just hear any final pieces of wisdom or advice for the people who may be listening who are there, who are just not feeling worthy or um not feeling like this could help them when we both know it could so much and they probably need it. Probably could benefit the most.
Mhm. So, couple things. One, I would say that whom best to learn from than somebody in that career path that you're trying to break into. How do they do it? How do they get in? They're going to know the keywords for optimizing your LinkedIn. They're going to know how to translate your experience and what experience is actually relevant because their network is in that specific industry or career path. They have hiring managers and they can do mock interviews with you because they've been through all of those interviews in that career path. So learning from somebody and also what are the relevant certs or what is the relevant education or what are the relevant tools, the relevant software for a specific career path. That is so important to learn from. And then also I would say don't self-select out. You are worthy of having somebody pour into you with all the moves and everything you've had to sacrifice for all over the years. It's your turn and it's okay. And it is, yeah, it can be awkward, but once you get past that and just let them actually pour into you because you're so used to taking care of the kids, or you're so used to taking care of the moves, and you're so used to taking care of the house and everything else. When somebody is actually reverse and taking care of you, man, it's a pretty powerful feeling.
It is, and that's so important. And that's why I think also why this is so attractive, that like year-long mentorship, right? It's not just a course, it's not just, oh, here's someone to talk to for a month. So you get to build that relationship so that you can build that comfort and vulnerability to actually work past the stuff that in a lot of other things you may not have the opportunity to, just because you might be feeling awkward or self-conscious or and wouldn't quite get to the space where you could really take advantage. Um,
And I'm still in touch with my mentor 6 years later.
mhm, mhm.
So you develop this relationship and mutual respect, and of course they want nothing more than to see you succeed. Like that is why they're volunteering. They want to see you succeed. So they love to watch even after our ACP's official role stops at a year, they still like to see, what's happening with your
Where
journey.
did you go?
Mhm.
Where did this help take you? I imagine, I mean, year-long relationship, that's no matter what type of relationship it is, that's serious, and especially in a mentor. role, like you get invested. Both of you would get invested.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it. I am so excited to know so much more about you so that we can make sure everyone knows about this incredible resource. Um, because it really is for everyone. Like like, and that's what I think is rare in kind of a lot of the career and um support services is like it seems like you have to have it figured out. Like you have to know to be able to take advantage or to know what the right thing to even plug into is. And I think this is addressing where most people, like you said, what you said, 80 something, right, of your participants.
80%, yeah.
Yeah, like that's where people are. And this program meets you where you're at, which is perfect. So I'm just so excited to have you on, to be able to not just talk about the program, but really through your own story, share the meaning of the program, so that people can hopefully, whether they want to be a mentor or could benefit from a
Right.
mentee, plug in and get or give.
That's right. If you have 5 years of experience or more, and you'd like to give back to a fellow spouse, we'd love to have you. That's something we didn't necessarily hit on. Our process is so customized that if you prefer same gender or same ethnic background, or you prefer former, like somebody military connected or not, like you may say, I just want to mentor a spouse. That is totally okay. Or if you're a spouse and you're like, I actually want to have a mentor that knows nothing about the military.
Yeah.
Because I want to know, I
Yeah.
just paired a spouse yesterday with the director the director of marketing for NASCAR. Imagine learning marketing tips from somebody that does it for NASCAR,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
and and they're not military connected.
Yeah.
So learning, that may be your request. Everybody's different on what they're looking for. And so we take all of that in and we rack and stack what's important to you. What are the priorities?
So customized. So there's really no reason.
And 30+% of our staff are spouses. So you might even get another spouse to help you find your mentor.
Oh, amazing, amazing. Yeah, because then you guys get 30 plus of your stock. Wow. Oh, Leslie, I love it. I'm so excited to have other people be learning about this and hopefully be taking advantage of the incredible service. I love that, in the work that we do, we come from such a similar place of trying to empower these individuals to reach for the freaking stars because it's their turn. It's their turn. I love that you said that. It's your turn to pour into yourself, and this is an amazing opportunity to do that. So I really appreciate you joining us and being able to highlight your personal experience as well as is what to expect for those who engage in the program. I think this was incredibly helpful.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and hopefully we can help both sides.
Exactly. I mean, I get my entire staff when we learned about this, or just I'm gonna be pushing this out to everyone because I feel like it is, we don't provide this type of support. We talk about it in our groups and stuff, but this is the perfect solution to so many of the career related concerns that come up in our peer support groups, that I haven't seen anything else even come close to it. So I'm so excited to be able to have a top quality resource to point people to.
Wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Leslie, and thank everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed and got something out of this, and we will see you back next month.
Thanks again for joining us on the Veteran Spouse Network podcast, brought to you in collaboration with Coming Home Well. We thank you for listening today and hope today's session left you feeling a little more connected or gave you some insight into the experiences of our military and veteran families. Don't forget to check us out at veteranspousenetwork.org to learn more about how our military and veteran families can receive the support they deserve.